That's right, 3.19 changed everything about mining, and I'm going to show you all the radical changes they made in this update. First off, let's take a look at minerals and deposits. Prior to 3.19, it was Quantanium or nothing. Not only was Quantanium the most valuable mineral in Star Citizen, but it was also the easiest to find. Every Q-type asteroid and Quantanium deposit had some amount of Quantanium in it, so finding a juicy Quantanium rock wasn't that difficult. But now, Quantanium is the rarest mineral you can find in Star Citizen. How rare, you may ask? Well, thanks to this cheat sheet made by Red Monster, we can see that on average, Quantanium will spawn about 2% of the time. So you know, kinda impractical to be looking for Quantanium now. In fact, in the entire time I was mining, I haven't seen a single rock with Quantanium. And according to those charts, you can find any tier 1 and tier 2 minerals at any location. And this image shows all rock compositions have completely changed. Now, the only differences between each rock types are the probabilities of each mineral spawning in that rock. Rock mass has also seen an overhaul. Prior to 3.19, asteroids had 3 different masses: 4600, 4800, and 5100, and surface deposits weighed anywhere from 2500 to 9000. But now, I've seen rocks with masses less than 1000, which are immediately extractable, to rocks over 30k, and they're probably heavier rocks than that. I'm pretty sure this is to encourage more multi-crew mining. As you can see from all of those charts, CIG is trying to encourage miners to pursue a variety of minerals, and judging by these new TDD prices, which vary by city, but not by much, mining these minerals seems more viable and profitable than ever before. Let's look at mining, starting with the UI. Here we see the laser intensity, which you can adjust but only between its minimum and maximum output. To the left is the distance between your laser and the rock. Every laser has its own optimal, maximum, and scanning range. To the right is the mining difficulty, which can either be easy, medium, hard, or impossible. So if you're a new miner, it'll take the guesswork out of whether or not you can actually fracture that rock. Keep in mind that instability is not factored into mining difficulty. To the bottom left is your laser stats and how your modules affect your stats. Switching to extraction mode, the bar that showed the laser intensity now shows how fast your ship is extracting minerals, and the dashed line on the right represents how full your ship's cargo pods are, although it doesn't work consistently. With mining lasers, prior to 3.19, it was the Lancet or nothing, because it was the best laser for Quantanium. But now, mining lasers have seen a massive overhaul. For instance, each mining laser now has a minimum and maximum power. That means you can't mine at 0% intensity anymore. For example, this Arbor laser has a minimum power of 189, 10% of its maximum power. The Helix laser, the most powerful laser, has a minimum power of 630, 20% of its maximum power. And the size 2 versions of these lasers have more power, probably to encourage more people to use them more. But more power doesn't always mean better, because if you want to fracture smaller rocks, a Helix may make it difficult. All the buffs and debuffs on these lasers have also changed. For example, the Lancet, once the meta mining laser, doesn't look very ideal now, with the massive debuff to the optimal charge window, or what I like to call the green zone. The Arbor laser used to have no stat modifiers at all, as it was, and still is, the default laser on both the Mole and the Prospector, but now it has buffs to instability and the green zone, with a debuff to resistance. And every mining laser now filters out some amount of inert materials, which is a nice touch. Each laser also has extraction power, which determines how fast your laser can extract minerals, although this doesn't seem to matter that much unless you're harvesting Quantanium. Let's look at mining modules, which have also gone through a major overhaul. They've shrunken the modules down such that they can now be held in your hand and can be stored in your backpack. A lot of modules have seen some major changes. For example, the Lifeline module, prior to 3.19, would neuter shatter damage and all charge rates when activated. Now it kinda does the opposite of that, and judging by the stats, it doesn't seem that useful. But what about the Surge module? Prior to 3.19, it would give an instant 40% boost to your charge level when activated, regardless of the rock or what laser you're using, but it made overcharge more dangerous. This was essential for mining Quantanium on moons, but now, when activated, it will temporarily boost mining power and decrease resistance at the cost of slightly more instability. I could go on, but you get the idea. Every module except the filter modules has seen some fundamental changes in their stats and how they're used. Now we move on to the ships themselves. Before 3.19, the Mole wasn't much better than the Prospector other than the increased cargo capacity, but now, 319 has given more incentives to use the mole. Mining with multiple prospectors is less viable now. Every additional prospector that is mining a single rock will exponentially increase instability. Likewise, the more people mining a rock in the mole, the more stable the rock. I don't know if this applies to multiple moles though. And with the new tractor beam gameplay, you can now hot swap mining modules and mining heads. To do that, first you have to unlock the ports by hitting right Alt K. Then make sure your multi-tool is in detach mode. And then from there, you can change and swap out your mining lasers and modules. Additionally, you can detach cargo pods from your mining ship and store them in a cargo ship. But if you want to refine them, you have to reattach them to your mining ship. One thing to note, mining modules are surprisingly fragile. If you fracture a rock with even a small amount of overcharge, the explosion will rip those modules right out of your laser. You can still go out and pick them up, but you can't reattach them until you're back at the space station. And don't bother repairing your ship before you reattach those modules, because the repair cost is astronomical. Mining gadgets have seen some interesting changes as well. For one, you can now only attach one mining gadget to a rock. Before, you can attach as many as you want, which led to some funny shenanigans. With this restriction, you now have to strategize what gadget you want to attach to the rock. But what happens if you try anyways? There's also a new stat modifier that's exclusive to mining gadgets, called the cluster modifier. This affects the distribution of minerals in the fragments after you fracture the rock. So the higher the cluster modifier, the less mixing of minerals inside the fragments. The Optimax has the best cluster modifier, and the Okunus has the worst. Refineries have seen the least amount of changes. For the most part, refining has stayed mostly the same. What's changed are the mineral bonuses. Some say that these mineral bonuses affect how likely you will find these minerals around the refinery. For example, if you're looking for Bexolite, don't bother going to Mike L5 because there's a 12% bonus to its mineral yield, which may indicate there's a shortage and therefore harder to find. But I haven't been able to verify this though. This change is to encourage players to travel more to get more out of their raw minerals. If you made this far into the video, thank you so much for watching, I really appreciate it. I'm going to make more videos going more in depth on mining and how to make a ton of money doing it. And I'll be taking a look at the new FPS mineable that was added in this update. So subscribe and ring that bell so you don't miss out. And if there's any changes that I missed, let me know in the comments below. In the meantime, if you want more Star Citizen stuff, I recommend you check out this video right here.